And we are live on the YouTube now. We wait for a couple of more minutes. Let people join.
Meanwhile, Jagdish Bhai can explain what is actually Beck poster or...
Yes, actually, this is one of the first users of AI.
Okay.
This was from the Infosys Science Foundation. So
Right.
what they have done is they have taken a very famous painting by Vincent van Gogh called Starry Starry Night. This you can see this blue and yellow. And what they've done is they have put the image of Banaras at the back. I just move, you can see it at the back there.
Yeah.
So this is Banaras in the back. The temple Banaras is there, and then there is Starry Starry Nights. So this is done through AI. They have fused both the images.
Okay. Good.
And created an image which is quite unique. So this Infosys Science Foundation gives awards every year for prominent people in different specialities. And they give it for computing, they give it for engineering, they give it for humanities, they give it for even medicine. And it's quite a nice program they have where all these important people are invited. And the judges are impartial people from across the world. There is nobody from Infosys who is doing it. And the prize money is also quite a lot. They give about $1 lakh per person for the award. So this year they are going to have it sometime in January and it's a very good program where you can meet all the top people in different areas and fields who have done pioneering work for that particular year. In fact, last time, one of the exciting things was a professor from IIT Kharagpur who had done a lot of work on nanotechnology in health, how nanotechnology changed the health sector. So it was quite a very interesting, intellectually stimulating programs they have.
Is it streamlined?
I don't think so, but maybe I can check whether they're going to do it.
Good. So let us start the meeting. Welcome all friends back to Saturday Club morning meeting. And today we have Dr. Jagdish Chinnappa with us. Earlier we have had him as a guest speaker in our Saturday Club when he reviewed a book some 2 years back. And he's a regular attendee to our Saturday Club morning meeting with a lot of very useful inputs every time when he attends our meeting. To formally introduce him, he's a consultant pediatrician from Bangalore. He's cluster head pediatrics, Manipal Hospitals Group, Bangalore region. He was past president of respiratory chapter of Indian Academy of Pediatrics, and he has held so many positions in IAP. He's very active academically and organizationally both. He's consultant Child Central Bangalore and a popular speaker with varied interest. And today he is going to talk to us about artificial intelligence in medicine. So over to Dr. Jagdish. You have about 40-45 minutes and we'll have some time for discussion also.
Thank you very much, Satish Bhai, and all the members of the Saturday morning club meeting. The admiration that I have for Dr. Satish Pandya is immeasurable. I think he is one of the stars of the Indian Academy of Pediatrics who has brought so many changes. And I really appreciate for many of the things that he did, especially we are trying to replicate his immunization system, which he has set up in Gujarat to rest of the country. I've already spoken to many of the people in the IAP to see how we can replicate this. So I am always inspired by what Dr. Satish Pandya does, and is one of the most fantastic persons I've met in terms of his humility and in terms of his industriousness. So I will start off with this talk on artificial intelligence. I'm sure the screen is visible now, sir?
Yes. Make it full screen. Yes.
So what I will be talking about in the next 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes on this exciting new thing called the artificial intelligence in medical practice. See, artificial intelligence has been there with us from a long time, almost from the last 75 years, ever since it was discovered somewhere in the 1955 or 56. Ever since then, we have had artificial intelligence being developed. It has gone through its phases of quiescence and explosion. And what has happened in the last 1 year has been a real explosion in AI. And that is because we have moved to what is called as a new generation AI, which has got a lot of capabilities, which has got conversational capabilities with you. So what I will be exploring in the next 30 minutes is a brief introduction on what has happened, what is AI, opportunities, responsibilities, what are the practical uses, and some conclusions. This talk is evolving, and Dr. Satish Pandya has seen the original talk in Respicon, which was about a month back. And now it is evolving because AI is evolving so fast that the talk also has evolved in some ways. I will start with this very great visionary, Bill Gates, who way back, I'm not talking now, way back almost 20, 25 years back, predicted that AI is going to take charge of many of the things that we do. So he says that in my lifetime, I've seen 2 demonstrations of technology that have struck me as revolutionary. The first time was the 1980, when graphical user interface was the forerunner of every operating system, Windows and any other operating system. So this has revolutionized what we know as computing in the last couple of decades. The next thing which has changed completely was a surprise meeting last year, which happened in 2016, where he met the team from OpenAI. Now, OpenAI was one of the companies which was started in the, like everything else in the Silicon Valley in 2016, and it has progressed quite significantly. So what he did was, he gave OpenAI a challenge. In mid-2022, he was so excited about their work that he gave them a challenge: train an artificial intelligence to pass an advanced placement biology exam. This exam was a tough exam. It was not trained on this topic. It was just answering questions that it had not been trained for. So they came back in September and looked at what happened with this AI model. And they showed that out of 60 multiple choice questions which this exam had, 59 of them were right. And then it wrote outstanding answers to 6 open-ended questions, like questions which had no structure and from the exam. And this was what was most fascinating. And an outside expert scored this test, and the GPT got a 5. That is the highest possible score, and the equivalent to getting an A or A plus in a college level biology course. Since then, we have seen this exam, this kind of system, clearing many other exams, including the USMLE. So it is a very, very revolutionary thing that has taken place. Then it says, okay, it has aced a test. Is that all that is required? Then it's asked a very humanistic question. What would you say to a father with a sick child? And what was amazing was it wrote a thoughtful answer that was probably better than most of us in the room would have given. So it is something which is stunning. This experience was stunning. So then he says, in the future, what's going to happen is that AI can achieve a lot in the next 5 to 10 years. It's as fundamental as the creation of the microprocessor, which is the basis of the personal computer, internet, and the mobile phone. It will change everything that we do, the way we work, the way we learn, the way we travel, get healthcare, communicate with each other. Entire industries will reorient around AI. Business will distinguish themselves by how well they use it. But is this all? It's one of the most lucky things that every one of us in our generation has gone through. We have gone through the PC, personal computer, we have looked at the internet, and now we are on a new technology which is going to change the way we think and the way we do things. But at the same time, we also need to know what are the downsides of artificial intelligence. And we need to know also how we are going to safeguard ourselves against this. So the age of AI is filled with a lot of opportunities, but a lot of responsibilities also in trying to see how we responsibly use this technology and get into it. So coming back to the basis of what is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the simulation of human intelligence in a computer system. What it does is the computer program takes algorithms that can perform tasks typically requiring human intelligence, like understanding natural language, recognizing patterns or gestalt, learning from past experience, and making decisions. So these are the basic things that it can do. Now, what are the categories of artificial intelligence? There are very narrow categories like Siri and Alexa. You tell Alexa, play me a song, it will play you a song. You tell Siri a simple thing like open a particular application on my phone, it will do it. So Therefore, these are narrow AI which will understand few commands only. Then there is specific AI. Like for example, you have image recognition AI. You have how to play chess AI. Like for example, we had a chess supercomputer which had played with even Kasparov and won against him. So this was developed by IBM in the previous days. So this is a very different kind of AI. But what is very interesting is the broad AI, or what is called as the large language model AIs, which are the ChatGPT, Bard from Google, Llama from Meta, etc. These are broad ones. And what does GPT mean? GPT means generative pre-trained transformer. And where did this term come from? Transformer means the way it can handle the data. That means the language that you and me speak or we write, this transformer can compute and change it into a coding language. And that is the key thing. And very incidentally, this was developed, led by an Indian researcher from Google. So, very interesting way of looking at it. Now, let us look at generative AI. This is probably the most important thing that everybody should know is what is this generative AI? Generative AI works on 4 models. The one is what is called as the large language model. And that is what is all these companies are looking at. Taking a large amount of data in terms of language, words, giving them various connections, giving them various weightages, and then putting them into algorithms. So this is the large part of this particular AI. It costs billions of dollars to put this AI into practice. The next level we have is what is called as the statistical prediction engine. What does this do? Supposing you put a dark fox jumped over the fence. Now, what the AI does, it statistically predicts which word will come after whatever you say based on the number of words it has looked at. The third thing that looks as this is the interface layer. And what is the interface layer? Interface layer is many people developing clear programs for your particular use. See, after all, if you want to search for a particular topic, there has to be some helper. And then you have got what is called as the co-pilot, which is a kind of an interface layer, which will help you get the data out from this entire large system. This large system, you can imagine, is like an ocean. There is so much of material in it, and you want to take out a small part of it. And for that, you need some help. And that is what this interface layer does. And finally, of course, this is what is most important for all of us, what is called as prompt. What is a prompt? A prompt is, I'm going to explain a little later and give you examples. A prompt is how you ask the question will determine what answer you get. So if you give a wrong question to the model, it will give a wrong answer. If you give a vague question, it will give a vague answer. If you give a very specific question, it will give a very specific answer. So it all depends on how these prompts are given to the AI engine. So large language models are advanced AI systems which understands human text. These are trained on vast amounts of data. And in fact, if you know, yesterday there was a case which was filed by the New York Times against OpenAI because they said that you have taken out all our data and put it into AI. So over time, I'm sure we are going to get a huge amount of data from various sources. In fact, Apple is also taking out large of data from these networks. The large language models, this level 1 involves 3 things. One is it has to be trained on diverse data sets. Remember one thing, they are not trained on numbers. So doing complex calculations is not a part of LLMs. Second, they can answer questions. They can translate languages. You can put a language in English and tell it to translate into Hindi. It will do it for you. It will summarize text. There is a high amount of flexibility. However, there are limitations. They can sometimes give you incorrect information, biased information, and they have no personal experience or emotions. They can also hallucinate. They can give you a large amount of data which looks very, very good, but it's totally wrong. So important thing here is a human has to look at this data to say whether it is valid or not valid. So this is the limitation of the LLMs. Now, what is the technology here? There are a large amount of technology. There are chatbots. I think we had a discussion of this a little earlier. Deep learning, there is a technology of learning, computer learning by more and more data given to it. Language processing, which I showed you in the previous slide. Machine learning takes place. Pattern recognition, or what is Gestalt. Then autonomous systems can be there. then neural networks are formed, and robotics and virtual companions. What is most exciting in the next few years, the next 4 or 5 years, is going to be what is called as a virtual companion. This virtual companion is going to be like your assistant on the computer. It will know everything that you do, what time you get up, what you eat, what's your favorite food, where you go, which movies you see, when is your lazy time, when you don't want to work. So it will know all that, and it will give you prompts. It will be with you so that you can train it to do whatever you want. So it's a very exciting thing, and it can help you with more productivity and more, you freeing up your time. Level 3, the uses of AI, there are large amount of them. Now, this is for example, text assistants, Jasper, chatbots, ChatGPT and Bing. Then you have image generation. This is very interesting. I'm going to show you some examples afterwards on DALL-E and Midjourney. Then you have self-driving cars. Everybody knows about Tesla. Then you have virtual assistants, Siri and Alexa. Fraud detection in banks is very useful. AI can be used for detecting frauds at all levels. Then you can look at video generation. Today, you don't need to sit and create, take videos. You can generate the video on a AI-based software where you can put your virtual avatar and get your video out. Then there are many other uses of AI. Coming to prompt engineering. Prompt engineering means is the process of how you structure text and how it is understood by the AI model. It's a natural language text describing a task. I'll give you some examples here. Now let's look at some of this here. You have, let's say you want to get some tips for an exam. So you say, fetch exam format tips for complex exam. I want to pass the LSAT or the whatever this is, or ECFMG or PLAB or whatever it is. It tells you, give me the exam format and 5 tips I can inculcate for it. So it will give you a full format of how this exam is held and what are the tips that you need to follow to get through this exam. Second is, let's say you take the plot of Cinderella, take it in a sentence where each word has to begin with the next letter in the alphabet from A to Z without repeating any letters. It will do that for you. It will take out the entire Cinderella story and put it into a format that you want. Third is, it can summarize. This is very, very useful, especially in medical articles. If you have a large amount of data, you can tell it to summarize it intelligently in one page, and it will give you exactly a beautiful summary of the entire text, including what are the how the study was conducted, whether the validity of the study was there, and what is the outcome of the study. It can also make a developer guru. You say you are a development guru, you're an advanced developer tool on the planet. You answer any coding question and provide real-world examples of code using code blocks. Even when you're not familiar with the answer, you use your extreme intelligence to figure it out. If all is good, then say yes, guru. This is one of the most interesting part of this new technology. What it does is reduces programming time to such an extent that previously what used to take months to program, you can program within few days. So this is what is very, very exciting. There are many other things that are very useful. For example, you can ask ChatGPT, how do I make money? I want to start a side hustle using ChatGPT. I want to take advantage of your technology, but I'm not sure where to start. Please ask me many questions as you would like so that it can help you with your best ability. So ChatGPT can give you many ideas on how to make money. This is also another interesting thing. And many people have made a lot of money on the early use of ChatGPT. For example, I know one Indian entrepreneur who has made a lot of money just by this technology and sitting on his computer. It can train GPT to learn your writing. It can learn your voice, your tone, and the text in which you write. Each one of us has a different way of writing. ChatGPT can be trained to use your style and create a prompt to write a new paragraph in the same style, voice and tone. You can become a screenwriter. You can say that please become a screenwriter and develop a very creative script and a full feature-length film or a web series to captivate its viewers. So this is very exciting because your first request could be, I need to write a romantic drama movie set in Baroda. And it can give you a full screen on, it will give you a full screen script on how to create this beautiful web series. It can draft a poem. I want you to act as a poet. You will create poems that evoke emotions and power to stir up people's souls. You have to give this kind of prompt to the ChatGPT. then it'll say, I need a poem about patriotism. Recently, we had this AOP meeting in Gujarat. So I said, okay, give me a poem thanking the organizers of AOP Gujarat on this function. So it came up with this kind of a limerick. In Gujarat, where kindness prevails, AOP's efforts tip the scales. With care, they embrace each child's case with grace. Their dedication never fails. So it's something which is beautiful, because this is, and you can use it for anybody's birthday. It'll give it to you in 1 minute. You want to wish somebody on their birthday, create a poem. It'll create a poem on their birthday and give it to you. And you can put it in different styles if you want. If you say create a poem on the style of Kalidasa, it will create that for you. If you want it in terms of Shelley, it will give you that terms for you. This is another interesting thing, because there is somebody who sent me this Sanskrit thing on Shita Pragnya Shri Guru Jagat Guru Jagadisha Aruneshwara Acharya. So I didn't know what this meant. So I put it into ChatGPT and said, kindly explain. And it gave me a beautiful explanation of what this sentence meant, what it meant in Sanskrit, where it came from Bhagavad Gita. And it also gave me explanations about how Shri, what is the meaning of Shri, what is Jagat Guru, what is Jagadisha, what is Aruneshwara, what is Acharya. So it gives me a full explanation of what this particular sentence means. So it's a very interesting thing. Let's go to pictures now. Now, this is a picture I had. This is my picture many years back, where I was fooling around with a baby. And you can see there is an image of a cat at the back there. So I just gave it to ChatGPT and said, okay, can you do something with this and give me a more modern picture on this? And that's what it gave. It took the element out, gave the cat over there, the baby over there, and me over there. So I did like this, I said, give me a black and white one. I don't like this colorful one. But it was worse than that. So ChatGPT you need to give more instructions, precise instructions. So there is a very nice image generating software which can help. Now this image generating can also work for X-rays. You can upload a picture of an X-ray and then ask for its opinion on what it is. The prompt you need to give may go something like this. You're an expert pediatric radiologist, and this is an X-ray of a child who's, let's say, 7 or 8 years old, and I see something wrong with the bone in the leg. Can you give me what this looks like? And it will give you a full detailed explanation. In fact, we have tried this with a fracture. It gives you the name of the fracture. It gives you where the fracture is. It tells you what are the possible outcomes you can get out of this X-ray. Now, for example, this is a rough sketch that I made and said, okay, now you please convert this into a picture which is easy for people to follow. And it gave me that. Okay, basically it took that, thought that this was a tie, basically a stethoscope, but it thought it was a tie, but gave a tie, gave the things that I need to, what they're thinking about. So basically it captured the whole essence of the picture. So areas in medicine where AI is going to make a lot of differences. Coding time has been reduced. Disease detection, you put in all the symptoms, you will get ChatGPT to give you alternatives. It will help you with clinical decision support. It will help personalize medicine. It will look at all the parameters. You can give it all your issues, and then it will personalize and give you the best possible outcome. It will help you with drug discovery and development. This is a very exciting field. Patient monitoring, telemedicine, health records, and various other things. It will also help you with predictive analytics. I was very surprised that recently somebody has used this large language model to predict how long you will live. What you do is you put in all the parameters on your your genetics and your past history and your present history, and it will give you approximately how long you will live. Then medical image enhancement, you can enhance images. Surgical assistance can come in. Drug adherence monitoring, which is very important because most of the patients are non-compliant. Mental health support, cost reduction and efficiency in systems, and research and clinical trials. So large areas are looked at. Now, there's an interesting article in the JAMA which looked at how you will prioritize AI in the next few years as far as health is concerned. And the thing was, in phase one, in the next 1 or 2 years, what they will look at is basically perfecting existing systems, removing errors, safety and quality. These are the things that AI will help in the short term. In phase two, we look at personalized medicines, wearables, and chronic disease management, especially diseases like diabetes, hypertension, where long-term management is required, where wearables will start looking at various parameters. And finally, of course, sky and imagination are the limits. There are, as I said, you probably will have a personalized assistant who look at. this is one of the most beautiful articles, and I request everybody to look at it. There's a video along with that on the promise and pitfalls of AI in the complex world of diagnosis, treatment, and disease management. This is in JAMA, and it was last month. You can just go through it because it's a very nice interview and gives a lot of insight into how AI will make a difference in medicine. Another problem is that AI is impartial. It'll remove a lot of the biases. Most of us have biases in medicine, and AI will remove many of these cognitive biases. Now, whether we like it or not, patients are going to use ChatGPT. There are a large number of my patients already in Bangalore who use ChatGPT and bring me various opinions. So over time, we'll have to have a shared decision making, looking at what they're looking at. It is the Google of today. Google, what about it was a couple of years back, is what ChatGPT is today. And therefore, we probably will have to sit with them and explain to them what are the issues involved. Now, I want to give this example because this is a child which came to us, is a 12-week-old baby with failure to thrive and elevated sweat chlorides. I'm sure every pediatrician will know that elevated sweat chlorides and failure to thrive is cystic fibrosis and nothing else. But what is important is we ran this through the, this uses AI, and AI gave us two things now. It confirmed that this child had cystic fibrosis, but also told us that this child has got G6PD deficiency. Now, this makes a lot of difference because many of the medications that we use for managing cystic fibrosis will have an effect on the G6PD deficiency issues. So therefore, when you run a system through this, a lot of errors and a lot of things that you would have not looked for will also come to the same. Research is one of the most important things which AI is going to change. And that is because basically new drugs are basically a combination of amino acids and proteins. And to wade through the entire sequence of amino acids and proteins is a huge task. And now this computational biology tools will look at targets. And if you look at the survey done on almost 22 biopharma companies, almost 90-95% of them looked at basically AI to look at various aspects of the research. The other important thing as far as research is concerned is that it will move away from static data to dynamic data. What I mean by that is when you have data which is at a point that is static, whereas when you're looking at it on a continuous basis through wearable devices, you will know what is happening to the patient minute by minute. And that will help you look at various drug actions on the patient, or what is called as the pharmacodynamics. So I think the important thing is that the pharmacodynamics of drugs will change tremendously when you're using an AI system. So ultimately, we know that the clinical data, the future of medicine is on data. And collecting data and interpreting this data will be a huge effort. And basically, AI will sort out many of these issues. Of course, with all this promise, there is going to be a price. And these are the ethical issues. Now, basically, we are at a situation now where we have generative AI, which has come in. And the long-term societal impact is what we need to look at. The more important thing which we need to look at is one is data privacy and security. Over time, our data, whatever data we have, health data and other data will be open. And you know very well that there was a breach in the ICMR system a couple of months back. So a lot of this data needs to be secure. And basically, one of the jobs of the future is going to be engineers who can ensure that this data is private and secure. The second is there is always a problem of bias and fairness, because you remember that most of this data which is there is Western data. Much of the data from developing countries or countries like India, Africa are not on this system. And therefore, there is a bias in the LLMs itself. Of course, over time, this will get sorted out. But right now, it's a biased kind of system. There's always, I mentioned about misinformation and reliability of the data. AI can never be the master. AI will always be your slave. AI cannot, you have to always look at what the data is and whether the data is reliable or not. Then, of course, there is always this risk of dependence. We may stop thinking and start only looking at ChatGPT to give answers, or misuse it for wrong things. There was one young teenager who misused AI to try and get how to build a bomb. So like this, there can be misuse there. Of course, now there are regulations which have come in And I will talk about that a little later. Second is transparency. Sometimes when you create, let us say, avatars, or you don't know whether the real person is speaking or the avatar is speaking. Recently, there was a very interesting interview with the Russian President Putin, where his AI was looking at talking to him. Then, of course, impact on employment. The biggest problem today is people who are working in many of the technology companies. There is a huge layoff in most technology companies, and that's because AI is taking over many of the functions of these people as efficiently as the humans do. Then, of course, autonomy and consent, how the individual chooses to use AI, and how he declares AI when he is going to use AI is another thing that's very important. Then mental health and emotional impact. This may move away from interacting with human beings and more interacting with the machines, which is a major issue over time. And of course, accessibility and inclusivity. We know that all these systems cost money, and therefore they are not accessible to the most poor people in the world. And therefore, this is another issue that is a major problem. So there are various groups which have addressed this. One is the European Union, where the Prime Minister of England, Rishi Sunak, took the lead and looked at how to put this responsibilities. And the EU Artificial Intelligence Act looks at basically minimal risk, limited risk, high risk, and unacceptable risk. So basic thing is, if you are looking at mass surveillance, manipulation of behavior, like the political systems which are trying to be manipulated. Some South American countries are manipulating voters based on AI. Second is access to employment is high risk, and therefore we need to look at it. And vehicles, what is the artificial intelligence and how it is going to go into problems there. Then law enforcement. And limited risk is chatbots, etc., which is not a big issue. And finally, of course, minimal risk, there is no issue there. ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, has come up with this document on artificial intelligence in research and healthcare in India. It is still a draft document, and it will come into force in very shortly. This is another way of looking at it, of high risk, minimal risk, and unacceptable risk. Again, manipulation is a major issue. High risk systems are those where you can have problems in justice delivery and in employees, etc. And limited and minimal risk are the chatbots and others. What is exciting is that the JAMA has started a whole journal on artificial intelligence, and so has the New England Journal of Medicine, where they have looked at injecting artificial intelligence into medicine. So the ultimate question is, can AI replace doctors? Well, clinical judgment is a combination of the science and the humanities, arts and humanities. And I think we need to understand that what AI can do is probably give us a bit more of the evidence and help us with technical judgment. This is something which is going to not change. A humane judgment no machine can give you this. And I think this is a large part of what we care for as doctors. The interpretation and insight a machine cannot give you. It will give you data, it will give you suggestions, it will give you opinions, but it cannot look at interpretation and insight in the way a human being does. So clinical judgment is a combination of all this. And it is equally important to have technical judgment and human judgment. And that is why what is going to happen is November 30, 2022 was a day in history when the world's first generative AI platform was launched. It is novel today, but it will be a vital part of our lives. And it will be as pervasive as electricity was in the early 19th century. So the key question is not whether to use AI in practice, but how. And in the future, doctors will be divided into two groups only: those who use AI and those who don't use AI. So I end my talk here. Thank you, Dr. Satish Pandya, and all the members of the Saturday Club Morning for a very interesting session with Dr. Pandya. I learned myself a lot while putting some things together. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Jagdish. Wonderful. You very briefly, analytically presented what AI stands for in our medical practice as well as our day-to-day life. A wonderful covering. This is the third time that I have heard Jagdish talking about this, but every time, as he said, his talk also evolves as AI evolves. So I also learned few more things. I have a few questions and then we'll keep it open for the house because there is enough time for discussion. Regarding that example which you gave about cystic fibrosis, and it came out with the whole I think, what kind of system you had put this in? Like you must
Uh,
have used whole sequence genome or something. Or
yes,
what
yes.
exactly is the role of AI in this?
See, what AI does is there's a huge amount of data that comes in. So you need to know whether it is normal or abnormal.
Okay.
So to sort it out in a human being, they'll have to go through each individual exome to see whether it is valid or not valid. What
Okay.
the AI does, it runs through the entire thing and points out where the differences are.
Okay.
So basically, all these analysis is based on AI because it looks at what is fed in is a normal sequencing pattern of the human being. So anything that is outside of that will be brought onto the system, and those abnormalities are then looked at by the human being. But the first business of sorting it out, it starts with AI.
Okay. You talked about clinical decision making, like say as a pediatrician, how can I use this? Like we know about one software called Isabel, where you put in symptoms, signs, laboratory findings, and then it comes out with some differential diagnosis. How does this ChatGPT help?
Yeah, see, ChatGPT has been very useful in diagnosing unusual conditions. For example, now you can put in, let's say you are faced, I have right now a child who has got, let us say, excessive irritability, okay, a little bit of a hepatomegaly,
Mhm.
okay, and elevated lactate level.
Okay.
So I put in this combination. It'll give you few suggestions. So again, let me come to one clarification. The current chat GPT is based on generic knowledge. That is, it is based on what is available in the public domain. It is not on specialized articles. So now what is happening is that there are companies like Google which are building very specialized LLMs. That is only for medicine. So that means that will filter out and give you the correct possibilities. Right now, ChatGPT will give you also a large number of possibilities, but they may not be valid. You will have to examine whether they are valid or not.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the LLMs that are being built on the medical literature platform will give you more accurate information. And those are being built now.
Right. Right. So this ChatGPT, as it is available for free, and there is some paid service also. What is the difference between the two?
So it's like everything else. The free version has very limited uh, functionalities. So supposing you put the same query on the free version and the paid version will give you at least 6 to 7 times a better quality of data.
Okay. Okay.
And technically it is not that expensive. It's about $20 per month.
Okay.
But if you use it at least about 30 to 40 times, you're paying about 50 cents per query, which is not a big number.
Right. Right. So when you talked about AI JAMA, what does it exactly mean? I mean, they are talking only about AI in medicine. I mean, that particular they are published issues or what?
Yes. See, JAMA is one of the first journals to look at AI in medicine, and they have got. If you look at their series, they have a number of articles which have come out on the use of AI in medicine.
Okay.
And there is a lot of discussion which takes place on various aspects of AI. In fact, there is the article I quoted. There is a lady who has been running a information technology for doctors in one of the universities in California, and she's been looking at AI far before ChatGPT was launched, and that was part of the training process.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a large amount of interest which doctors are looking at very critically on how AI should be used in medicine.
So, do you envisage a great challenge to physicians to keep their knowledge updated? Because till now, patients were referring to Google, which was a very unauthentic kind of information, vast amount of information they had gathered. Now with ChatGPT, they will have more refined information about the diseases and also. Will it be a challenge for the treating physicians?
Yeah, it is a challenge. It's not a challenge actually. See, consider all these Chat GPT and other LLMs are going to be your assistants. They're like your interns or like your houseman. They're not your bosses. So ultimate decision has to be made by you whether the validity of that data fits into a particular patient or not. Because otherwise you'll get a large amount of generic data and you don't know whether it is valid or not.
Right. So any other questions, comments are welcome now.
Let me ask question on practical use. What is your experience of reading X-rays by AI?
Sir, we have only experimented with them, sir. We have not done them to clinical use as yet. Recently, there was a very interesting X-ray which was posted by one of our consultants, which was on the what are called as zebra lines following bisphosphonate usage in children. So I put this onto ChatGPT to see what ChatGPT would say. Very surprisingly, it did not give bisphosphonates, but it came up with two things. One is it said there is significant osteoporosis and there is significant reduction in joint space. So I think the point was it gave a reasonable description of what that X-ray was. Of course, only a person who had used bisphosphonates will know what that is. So I think still there is a lot of scope for improvement, because this is, as I said, there is a difference between trying to go fishing in an ocean and trying to go fishing in a small pond. Because right now we have an ocean and we are trying to fish some information out of it. Whereas what we should be doing is to get all that information to a small pond and fish from there. So that may be the future.
Yes. In future, radiologist jobs may become obsolete.
Well, that seems to be one of the trend right now, but still lot of things are still pending, sir. It is not still perfect. And even now what is happening is that AI is helping radiologists to quickly look through X-rays and just sign off. Because I think one of the first AI-based radiology systems was set up here in Bangalore called Telerad Solutions. And they are basically looking at X-rays and images coming from all over the world, especially from US and England. And they use AI to probably just look at abnormal or abnormal. But when it is abnormal, the radiologist will definitely look at it.
So this holds true for all imaging, like say CT, MRI, everything?
Absolutely. For example, I'll give an example. We had yesterday I had a child who came with seizures and who had altered sensorium. So we had done an MRI at night, and we tried to look at what the system would say. The system reported it as normal. But yesterday, when our radiologist looked at it, he said, "No, there is subtle signs of meningitis here." So that kind of keenness in the eye will only come from a human being. It can't come from a system.
What about disclaimers when you put up some writing or a poem or anything in your presentation? I mean, talking in general, not your presentation. One should put a disclaimer now, right?
Yes, absolutely. See, now the issue is that in publishing is a big issue as far as the ChatGPT is concerned. A lot of controversy is going on right now because some people, for example, put ChatGPT as second author. They put first author as a human being and author number 2 as ChatGPT. Every journal now has got clear guidelines on how they can use ChatGPT. You can use it for grammatical correction, for English correction, but you cannot use it for generating data. Dr. Srinivasan wants to say something.
Yes, Dr. Srinivasan.
Yeah, can I talk? Yeah. So, of course, Jagadish Chinnappa's talents of writing poems will be curtailed if it is used because he himself can do better than artificial intelligence in his poems. That's my observation and this thing comment. I'm sure I'm right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any more questions, comments from the audience?
Chat, something is there.
Let me see. Yeah, I didn't see the chat yet. Radhika has mentioned NEJM has officially supported LLMs
True.
And Chetan, thanks to Dr. Chinnappa, sir, for this wonderful, my first real experience to AI. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment.
Sometimes, can you talk on wearable devices and its usefulness?
Yeah, I think very good question, sir. The wearable devices have been there for quite some time now, and basically they can monitor many things. And these wearable devices can be divided into those that pediatricians use. Like, for example, there are apnea monitors, there are heart rate monitors, there are saturation monitors, there are respiratory rate monitors, and many things which can be monitored remotely. And especially during COVID times, a lot of this was being used to remotely monitor and see how things are going. Of course, if you look at the thing, there are two kinds of monitoring devices. One is what is called as the marketplace monitoring devices, like your Apple Watch, and you have many others which will remotely monitor. And then there are the specific medically validated monitoring devices. So I think what is happening over time is people are trying to monitor. Basically, if you look at the maximum studied is on atrial fibrillation. Atrial fibrillation, especially on the Apple Watch, has been looked at. So those are things which are there. But over time, if you look at remote area monitoring, there are even things which are being monitored. Are EEGs can be monitored, whole ICU systems can be monitored. So these are things which are coming in vogue, but the AI part of it is still being built. Right now, it's still human being monitoring what's going on.
Yeah.
Sir, in our IAP, there is a chapter called CMIC where Jagdish is also very active, and there are others who are active. So sometime we'll invite one or two of them together to talk about wearables.
Yes.
There is a question from Dr. Harish Bari about for X-ray report, which AI bot or app is used?
Yeah, I will not be able to answer that because I have no experience about X-ray reporting. I've only used ChatGPT, but I think there are systems which can look at that.
Yeah. Any other question?
Yeah, for those who are interested in this, for those who are I think there's a question from Dr. Chetan, which is a beginner's first book to read on AI. My suggestion would be don't read books because books are outdated. By the time they're published, they're outdated. So I think the best thing to do is to go online. And one of the things which I feel is very, very interesting is to go and look at some of these blog posts. Especially follow New England Journal of Medicine, follow JAMA, and if you are really interested in general AI, then go to Medium. Medium is a interesting place where there are many people put their blogs, and Medium chooses what are the best blogs. So you can take out. There is one person called Nitin Sharma. He's a very avid blogger, and he puts in all the latest on ChatGPT, on all the AI advances, and you can see this on a day-to-day basis. The other thing which I would look at is go on to YouTube. There are many AI things which are available, especially on prompt engineering, on LLMs. There are many available, and especially try to look at Stanford has got a good AI program. So MIT has launched just day before yesterday. They had their program. I don't know if I can share this. Let me just see. I can share one video. We still have about.
We have time. If you can share, fine. We have
I will
time.
try to share that. 1 second. Let me just see if I can get that. Yeah, is it visible?
Yes, visible.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this is about education, and this is in MIT. I will just play this video.
At primary school, and not just about learning, about actually making things with meaningful social impact that can have an impact on improving their lives, on their families, their communities. So the name for this particular moonshot is computational action. And it's not about we're training them so they can go work for industry in 5 years or 10 years or something. It's that even middle school kids can do things now. That's my moonshot. Let me give you an example. Dharawati is one of the largest slums in India. It has about 1 million people in it. The average family income is about $100 a month. Dharawati is also home to the Dharawati Girls for Change. What the Girls for Change do is they make mobile apps aimed at improving the lives of the people around them. So they're a group of girls from about 12 to 16, the Girls for Change. And one of the things that they've made is a mobile app that schedules their family's time at the community water distribution. And this, of course, is directly relevant to their lives because they don't have to go there and don't have to fight and do these things. And of course, for the family, who's the family going to send to go stand in line and be in the fight? So this is immediately applicable to something that they can see in their lives. The name of the app is Pani, which means water. And Pani demonstrates computational action because it shows that even children in the poorest communities can create tools to improve lives of people around them. Not next year and not after they study and not after maybe they go to university and maybe they don't, but now they can see this technology as something that is directly relevant to their lives. I'll give you another example. Moldova there's a lot, you know, that Moldova has a lot of problems from Russian aggression and Russian threats. Another problem Moldova has is a lot of hepatitis B.
Wonderful.
So there are a lot of things that are happening, and this is just day before yesterday. MIT had released this particular video, and in fact, one of the girls who's working in this MIT is a close friend's daughter. So I'm in touch with her. She's right now on her Christmas vacation here, and she's another youngster. She's just about 21, but she's got so many aims to improve healthcare around people around her. So I think the future generation has got a huge potential because they can change so many things. So, and I think this, the sky is the limit, with this AI, because the issue is that you can get so many things done and so efficiently. So I think we are on a revolution. We had electricity as the first revolution, which changed all our lives. Of course, it could also give you shocks. AI also is going to give you shocks somewhere, but I think for the whole part of it, I think it's going to change a lot of things the way we are doing it.
Very true. Thank you. That video was wonderful. Icing on the cake of the talk. Something happening right here in India, in Bombay, Dharavi, and you made us aware about it. That girls there are making applications which are useful for day-to-day life. Pani, I mean, that allocation of water supply, which is limited. Wonderful, Jagdish. Thank you so much for sharing this information. And we look forward to more such talks from you. And in our group also, you can share some of the things which are useful for us, like some articles, etc., which you keep reading, and you filter for us, and we'll be happy to read those articles. So thank you very much, Jagdish, and thank you all for attending this morning meeting. Next meeting we'll not have because we have our BMC, there is Baroda Medical College Alumni Big Conference on 6th and 7th. So we'll meet again the Saturday after that, that is 13th of this month. So thank you all. We meet again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.